They told me I was broken. They said I would never rise again. But I have learned that the most beautiful transformation begins when we embrace our cracks, for it is through them that the light enters. Ladies and gentlemen, we often wait for a new year, a new week, or a miracle to start changing our lives. But what if I told you, the miracle is you? You don't need perfection to begin. You only need the courage to take one step today. The journey to self-improvement doesn't ask for certainty. It asks for commitment. It doesn't demand perfection. It requires progress. In the next 30 days, I'm not going to promise that your life will magically change. But I will promise this: if you decide to show up, if you decide to love yourself enough to try, the next 30 days can become the most powerful days of your life. We live in a world that often glorifies perfection, perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect timelines. From the moment we open our eyes each day, we're bombarded with polished versions of reality, carefully curated snapshots that whisper to us, "You're not enough." But the truth is, it is not perfection that inspires the world, it is authenticity. It is the raw, unfiltered version of you that holds the power to create real change within and around you. And the first step in any journey of self-improvement is to stop hiding your flaws and begin embracing your imperfections. Your imperfections are not your enemies, they are your teachers. They remind you that you are human, beautifully and wonderfully made, yet still evolving. Each scar, each crack, each story etched in your soul is a testament to your strength. You have fallen, yes, but haven't you risen too? You've struggled, you've broken, you've cried silently in the corners of your world. But you are still here. That is not weakness, that is resilience, and it is in that resilience that transformation begins. Think of a piece of art, something ancient, something that has endured centuries. Often it is the cracks, the fading colors, the war, now textures that give it depth, meaning, and beauty. Why, then, do we expect our lives to be untouched by pain, unmarked by time, or unchanged by struggle? It is through the very things we try to hide that our greatest strength can be revealed. To improve your life, you don't need to erase who you've been. You need to understand that who you are, right now, is exactly where your power lies. Self-improvement is not about fixing something broken. It's about discovering the beauty in what already exists and elevating it with love, with patience, and with purpose. So many of us delay our journey because we believe we need to be more confident, more skilled, more worthy, before we begin. But waiting for perfection is just another way of holding ourselves back. Start where you are, use what you have, and allow your imperfections to guide you, not define you. There is something powerful about looking into the mirror and choosing to see yourself fully, both the light and the shadows. When you stop resisting your truth, you give yourself permission to grow from it. Growth doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from owning your story and deciding that your past does not get to dictate your future. Your imperfections are not obstacles. They are invitations, invitations to explore yourself more deeply, to understand your pain, and to turn it into purpose. You see, when you embrace your imperfections, you also embrace your uniqueness. No one in this world has walked your path. No one else carries your exact dreams, your exact wounds, your exact hope. That in itself is extraordinary. There is power in being real. There is strength in being vulnerable. And there is beauty in being unapologetically you. It is through this honest relationship with yourself that true self-improvement begins, not from a place of self-rejection, but from a place of radical self-acceptance. Every time you choose to honor your journey, you are rewriting the narrative that says you are only valuable when you are flawless. No, you are valuable because you are real, because you've endured, because you're still trying. And that effort, that daily decision to show up even when it's hard, is the heart of growth. You don't need to be someone else to become better. You don't need to erase your past to move forward. You simply need to stop apologizing for the parts of you that are still healing. There is a quiet war happening inside many of us, a battle between who we truly are and the voice that constantly tells us we are not enough. This voice is subtle but powerful. It creeps in when you fail, when you fall short, when you dare to dream bigger than your circumstances. It's the voice of self-doubt. It whispers in the silence, asking, "Who do you think you are?" And more often than not, we answer it with fear, with hesitation, with shrinking back into ourselves. But there comes a moment, a turning point, where you must make a bold decision, not to silence the doubt completely, but to speak louder with the voice of self. Love, self, doubt is not the enemy of progress. It's the evidence that you're stepping into something unfamiliar. It shows up when you leave the comfort of routine and dare to reach for something greater. But here's the truth, self-doubt only has power when you believe it more than you believe in yourself. And that is where self-love steps in, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a conscious daily practice of choosing to believe in your worth, even when you don't feel worthy. There's something beautiful about learning to become your own supporter in a world that often teaches you to criticize yourself. From a young age, we're conditioned to compare, to measure, to compete. We learn to look outside ourselves for approval, for validation, for applause. But true change, lasting soul, deep transformation, begins when you stop waiting for the world to affirm you and start affirming yourself. You look in the mirror and say, "I am enough. I have always been enough." And even if you don't fully believe it yet, you say it anyway, because your words have the power to shape your reality. The voice of self-love isn't loud or boastful. It's steady, it's kind. It shows up when you make a mistake, and instead of tearing yourself apart, you offer compassion. It shows up when you feel like quitting, and instead of giving up, you remind yourself why you started. It's in the way you talk to yourself when no one's watching. It's in the way you forgive yourself for not knowing better, and then choose to grow from the experience. There's nothing weak about being gentle with yourself. In fact, it takes incredible strength to be soft in a world that tells you to be hard. Self-love is not selfish. It's not about ignoring your flaws or pretending to be perfect. It's about acknowledging your humanity. It's about holding space for your emotions, your needs, your dreams, and saying, "I matter." Because you do, you matter. Not because of what you achieve, not because of how others see you, but because you exist. Because you have breath in your lungs and purpose in your heart. When you begin to break the silence of self-doubt, you reclaim your power. You stop being a prisoner to your insecurities and start becoming the author of your life. You realize that the way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of everything you build. If that foundation is made of fear, shame, and comparison, it will crumble under pressure. But if it's built with love, patience, and belief, it will withstand anything. You are not meant to live your life doubting every move, second, guessing every decision, and apologizing for taking up space. You were created with intention. You carry light that no one else does. And every time you choose to uplift yourself, even in the smallest way, you're reminding your heart that it deserves to be heard, to be honored, to be loved. Even if no one else claps for you, clap for yourself. Even if no one else believes in your vision, believe in it anyway. There are moments in life when the weight of your pain feels heavier than your hope. Moments when the world around you continues to spin, but inside you feel stuck, paralyzed by heartbreak, failure, or a silent sadness that no one else seems to see. It's in those moments that people will say, "Be strong, move on, or get over it." But very few will tell you the truth, that your pain is real, it is valid, and you don't need to pretend it doesn't exist in order to be powerful. Because within your pain lies something sacred, Within your suffering lies your strength. And within the depths of your lowest days, there is a seed of power waiting to rise. Pain is not a weakness. It is a sign that you have felt deeply, that you have loved, that you have lived. To feel pain is to be human. To acknowledge it is to be brave. When we try to suppress or escape it, we only delay our healing. But when we sit with it, when we lean into it with honesty and tenderness, we give ourselves a chance to transform. Not overnight, not instantly, but slowly, like the earth that breaks open to allow a seed to grow. There is a process, a breaking, a stretching, but in that process we discover who we truly are. The world may tell you that power looks like control, like composure, like having it all together. But real power is found in vulnerability. Real power is in allowing yourself to feel, to cry, to fall apart when you need to, and then still choosing to rise. It's in getting up each morning despite the heaviness in your chest. It's in showing up for your life even when your heart is still healing. It's in saying, yes, I'm still hurting, but I'm also still here. That is power, that is strength, and no one can take that away from you. We often underestimate the silent victories, the days you made it through when no one knew how hard it was, the times you smiled even when your soul was aching, the moments you chose to hope when everything around you seemed hopeless. Those victories matter. They are the threads that weave your resilience. They are the unseen triumphs that build your inner fortress. Your power isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's in your perseverance, your quiet courage, and your unwavering will to keep going. You don't need to rush your healing. You don't need to explain your pain. And you certainly don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. This is your story, and every chapter, no matter how painful, is shaping something beautiful inside you. Sometimes it's the brokenness that teaches us how to become whole. Sometimes it's the darkness that shows us how brightly we can shine. The world needs more people who are willing to be real, not perfect, not untouchable, but real. People who can say, yes, I've been through the fire, but I've come out stronger. People who wear their scars not as signs of defeat, but as proof of survival. When you allow your pain to speak, not with bitterness, but with honesty, you give others permission to do the same, and that kind of authenticity is where transformation truly begins. Your pain may feel like it defines you right now, but it doesn't. It is a part of your journey, not the whole of who you are. You are allowed to carry your wounds while still moving forward. You are allowed to be both healing and growing at the same time. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still be proud of how far you've come. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think of it as restriction, as punishment, as something that limits freedom. But true discipline is not about chains. It's about choices. It's about honoring yourself enough to do what needs to be done, even when your emotions tell you otherwise. Discipline is the language that self-respect speaks every single day. It is the quiet, consistent commitment to your future self. And when you begin to live from a place of self-respect, discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming a form of love. There are days when motivation disappears, when the excitement fades, and when all that's left is a choice to either give in to comfort or lean into commitment. In those moments, what keeps you moving forward is not inspiration, it's discipline. It's waking up and deciding again and again that your goals matter, your dreams matter, and most importantly, you matter. You begin to realize that keeping promises to yourself builds something far more valuable than temporary happiness. It builds trust. You can't improve your life without trusting yourself, and you can't trust yourself if you constantly break your own word. Discipline becomes that sacred space where you learn to show up for yourself, even when no one else is watching. Even when the results are slow, even when the world doesn't applaud your effort, It is the act of saying, I am worth the effort, my future is worth the sacrifice, and that changes everything. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it doesn't rely on perfect conditions. It doesn't need everything to be aligned. It shows up in the mess, in the struggle, in the chaos. It builds structure in the middle of uncertainty. When life feels overwhelming, discipline gives you something solid to hold on to. It becomes your anchor. Your routine becomes a place of safety. Your effort becomes a reminder that progress is possible, no matter how small. People often wait to feel ready, to feel confident, to feel strong before they begin changing their lives. But discipline teaches you that feelings are not facts. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it, and in doing it, you become stronger. You prove to yourself that action creates clarity, that showing up consistently creates momentum, and that over time, small actions add up to powerful transformations. When you respect yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop giving your energy to distractions that don't serve your purpose. You begin to filter your choices through the lens of your values, not your impulses. Discipline doesn't make your life boring. It makes your life intentional. It puts you back in control. It helps you stop living by default and start living by design. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to wake up early. It's hard to say no to things that offer temporary pleasure. It's hard to push through resistance, but what's harder is living with regret. What's harder is waking up year after year in the same place, wondering what your life could have been if you had just kept going. Discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects your goals, your growth, and your greatness. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the smartest. But if you are disciplined, if you are consistent, you will go further than most. Because discipline compounds. Each small act of dedication becomes a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. And when you look back, you'll realize that it wasn't the grand gestures that changed your life. It was the daily decision to keep showing up. To honor your path, to speak the language of self-respect, one disciplined step at a time. We live in a world that constantly tells us to wait for the perfect moment. We're told that the right time will come, when we have more money, more experience, more confidence. But the truth is, there is no right moment. The perfect time to start is always right now. Waiting for everything to line up perfectly before you begin is a trap. It's a way of staying in your comfort zone, of avoiding the uncertainty that comes with stepping into the unknown. And the longer you wait, the further you drift from the life you could be living. Change doesn't happen when everything is perfect. It happens when you decide, despite the fear, despite the doubts, that you are ready to take the first step. It's natural to want everything to be certain. We want to know that the path we are taking is the right one, that the risks we are taking will lead to success. But the reality is that there is no way to know for sure. There will always be uncertainty, there will always be unknowns, and there will always be challenges. The key to moving forward is not waiting for the perfect moment or for the stars to align. It's having the courage to take action, even when you can't see the entire path. You don't have to have all the answers right now, and you don't need to wait until you feel completely prepared. What matters is that you take the first step. Often, we underestimate the power of just starting. When you begin, you create momentum. You begin to see the possibilities that weren't visible when you were standing still. You learn more about yourself, your goals, and the obstacles in your way. You discover what works and what doesn't. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. Starting is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about committing to the process. It's about understanding that progress comes with action. And when you make progress, no matter how small, you move closer to your destination. Waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of procrastination. It's your mind telling you that you're not ready yet, that you need more time to prepare, that you're not enough right now. But the longer you wait, the more you reinforce that belief. You start to believe that you will never be ready, that there will never be a perfect time, and in that cycle, you keep putting off your dreams. It becomes easier and easier to find excuses not to act, but in reality, every day you wait is a day lost. It's a day that could have been used to make progress, to take that first step, to get closer to the life you want. The key to breaking free from this cycle is to shift your mindset. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, realize that the moment you have is the only one you can control. The right time to start is right now. The perfect time to take action is today, not tomorrow, not next month, not when you feel more confident or when the conditions are better. The only way to move forward is to decide to begin. You have to stop waiting for everything to be in place and start building with what you have, where you are. Every successful person, every person who has achieved greatness, has one thing in common: they took action. They didn't wait for the stars to align. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They simply started, and from that starting point they kept going, even when things weren't easy, even when the road was unclear, even when the odds seemed impossible. They moved forward one step at a time. That's how progress is made. You start with what you have, you take the first step, and you keep going. So stop waiting for the right moment. Stop waiting for the perfect time to pursue your dreams. The time is now. The time is always now. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you will be waiting forever. But if you take action today, you can start creating the life you want. You can start building the future you deserve. And even if you don't have it all figured out, even if things aren't perfect, you will be moving forward, and that's what matters most. We live in a world that often expects us to have it all figured out, to be perfectly healed, perfectly successful, and perfectly put together. But the truth is, healing isn't linear. Growth isn't a straight path. It's messy, unpredictable, and at times overwhelming. And that's okay. Healing takes time, and progress, no matter how small, is still progress. There is a profound beauty in accepting that growth is not a destination, but a journey. It's a journey that requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to keep moving forward, even when you feel like you've taken a step backward. Sometimes it can feel like you're stuck in one place, like you're not making any headway. You look around, and everyone else seems to be moving ahead. You wonder if you're falling behind, but growth doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people's journeys are more visible than others, but that doesn't make them any more valid. Just because you can't see the changes happening in your own life doesn't mean they're not happening. Often, growth happens quietly beneath the surface. It's in the small decisions you make each day that lead to big transformations over time. What's important to understand is that setbacks are part of the process. They don't erase the progress you've made. They don't define you. They are simply moments in time that help you learn, grow, and become stronger. When you experience a setback, it's easy to feel defeated. It's easy to think, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm failing. But those feelings don't reflect the reality of the situation. Setbacks are not failures. They are opportunities to adjust your approach, to reassess your goals, and to strengthen your resolve. They teach you resilience. They teach you that you don't need to be perfect to be worthy. They teach you that moving forward is often about getting back up, not about never falling down. Healing is also about learning to be kind to yourself during the tough times. It's easy to beat yourself up when things aren't going the way you envision. We are often our own harshest critics, expecting more from ourselves than we would ever expect from anyone else. But real progress happens when we stop judging ourselves for where we are. and start accepting ourselves where we are. You are worthy of love and compassion, even on the days when you feel like you've done nothing right. When you treat yourself with kindness, you give yourself the permission to heal, to grow, and to try again. The most powerful thing you can do during your journey of self-improvement is to give yourself grace. You are not defined by the setbacks you encounter or the mistakes you make. You are defined by your willingness to keep going. Every time you choose to show up for yourself, even when it feels hard, you are moving forward. Every time you make the decision to not give up, you are moving forward, and each of those small steps compounds over time, creating lasting change in your life. When you focus on progress, not perfection, you release yourself from the pressure of needing everything to be flawless. Progress is messy. It's full of mistakes and lessons and unexpected turns, but it's also full of growth, full of potential, and full of transformation. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. There will be days when it feels like nothing has changed, but that doesn't mean nothing has changed. It means you're still on the journey, still learning, still evolving. It's easy to want to rush through the process of healing or to look for a quick fix, but lasting change takes time. You can't rush the journey of becoming who you're meant to be. You can't rush the process of understanding yourself and learning to love yourself. It's something that unfolds over time, in small steps and quiet moments. The key is to keep moving forward, to trust that the process is working even when you can't see the results right away. The key is to have patience with yourself, knowing that even when it feels like you're not making progress, you are. And most importantly, the key is to remember that healing, growth, and progress are not destinations. They are lifelong journeys that you get to walk every day. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to remember this. Transformation is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking one step after another, even when the road ahead feels uncertain or steep. The key to lasting change is not about finding the perfect moment or the perfect strategy. It's about embracing where you are with all your flaws, all your struggles, and all your dreams. It's about choosing to show up for yourself every day, no matter how messy the process feels. The person you are becoming is already inside of you, waiting to break free, but it will only happen if you continue to believe in yourself, even when you don't have all the answers. So don't wait for the perfect time to change your life. Start now. Start with the small steps, the daily choices that align with the life you want to create. It's in those moments that true transformation begins. It's not about a giant leap. It's about the little decisions you make consistently, the way you commit to your vision even when things get hard. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. You will face setbacks, you will stumble, you will have days when you want to quit. But know this, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every moment of doubt is an opportunity to strengthen your belief in yourself. Every struggle is a chance to build resilience. The road to change is not smooth, but it is worth it, because on the other side of your struggle lies a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever thought possible. Remember, the journey of self-improvement is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about showing up even when it's hard, and trusting that the work you're doing today is shaping the future you're creating. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, and keep going. You are capable of more than you know, and with each step, you are creating the life you deserve. The best is yet to come.